So what do you do?
Why do you care?
I don't.
If we're going to sit here and think that Congress, that the United States government is going to protect workers and regulate the implementation of AI technology, we would be mistaken.
You know, I think I understand what you're like now. You're very beautiful, and you think men are only interested in you because you're beautiful. But you want them to be interested in you because you're you. The problem is that aside from all that beauty, you're not very interesting. You're rude, you're hostile, you're sullen, you're withdrawn. I know you want someone to look past all that at the real person underneath. But the only reason that anyone would bother to look past all that is because you're beautiful. Ironic, isn't it? In an odd way, you're your own problem.
You know, I like to talk about many different topics, but there are some that just seem to stick. And there's one that's been in the news cycle for quite some time now, I think since May or April, however far back you want to go. Mm-hmm. And it has to do with the writer's strike and the actor's strike. You remember those guys?
Oh, yes.
They're still out there in the streets, you know.
Oh, yeah, totally.
They're still out there asking for more money and more sympathy from the public that they crap on at every chance they get.
Well, I mean, we're going back to early May, and for years, especially the last 10 years, you know, these actors have been on these personal crusades for this cause, and you know, most recently what comes to mind is how all these actors and stuff, these elite actors, got on board with the whole COVID thing, and they were telling us, the plebs, to do things a certain way. Oh, you have to do this, and you have to get this, and you have to do this, otherwise everyone's going to die. And it was the guilt tripping, it was the shaming, it was the how dare you question the science, and all that crazy stuff. And so now here they're in a pickle where they're likely with this AI stuff, they could lose their livelihood.
Yeah.
And then they lose their status. And
Right.
I think that's what scares them the most.
Well, here's the thing. I think for the most part, people have a hard time sympathizing with millionaires and people that have lived, you know, a glitzy life and the paparazzi and, you know, the green rooms and the fancy foods.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And, you know, all the perks and the award shows. You know, it's kind of hard to sympathize with people like that. It's like, please.
Right.
You know, I remember, you know, we're in the great state of West Virginia. And I remember when they were talking about a few years back, you probably remember this, Mike, when they were talking about the coal mines and closing down the coal mines. Mm-hmm. And so there were people saying, but these people are coal miners. You know, they support their families working in the mines.
Learn to code.
Learn to code. That was their phrase. So all you actors, writers, and whatnot, SAG, AFTRA, learn to code.
Yeah,
it's your turn.
Dude,
Tag,
they were
it.
they were shadow banning anybody on Twitter, okay, that said learn to code.
Right.
You know?
And now it's their turn.
And now it's their turn.
And how's that for irony? Because the big center of this, Mike, is the AI, the artificial intelligence. And
Absolutely.
I really want to go back to this article from Breitbart. I don't know if you have it on your side or not, but if you go to Breitbart and you check the entertainment tab, you'll see it that there says actors union threatens third Hollywood strike against video game makers. So now the video game makers have entered the discussion, Mike.
Oh, of course.
AI putting our members in jeopardy. So, well, I mean, I can understand the video game angle.
Sure.
Because it's a video game.
Right.
Most of it is simulation anyway.
It's and that was probably the where AI really kind of took off, you know, in the gaming industry. And I'll full disclosure, I know jack squat about the gaming industry. The last games I played was Diablo 2.
I think, you know, for guys our age and people that are in our age bracket, Mike, they don't really.
What age bracket is that, JV? Hey, we're Gen Xers, okay?
We're Gen X,
right.
Okay? Let's get into this article, shall we, Mike?
Yes.
Hold on a second. Let me pull this up here. It says, as its strike against the studios approaches its third month, the union representing Hollywood actors is now rattling its saber at another industry, the video game makers. Ooh, they're rattling their saber. It's like Darth Vader. These guys, man, it's so funny.
We've reached globalist conflict.
Intergalactic empire strikes again.
Saddle Raver.
Now there are two of them. SAG-AFTRA announced Friday that they will seek authorization for a strike against major video game companies, which would presumably include giants Activision and Electronic Arts. I remember Activision from way back in the day.
Yeah, Activision, man, they were the bomb, dude. They had what was it? Did they have, was it Knight Rider? They had the Knight Rider game.
They had a number. I just remember seeing the Activision thing, and when the game started, you get all excited. And this hasn't come this far, man.
What was the name of that one game? Spy Hunter.
Spy Hunter.
That was the bomb, dude.
Spy Hunter. Boy, we're really dating ourselves now, aren't we? That's how you know we're Gen Xers. For sure.
Yeah, you know.
It says here, Mike, it says the union said talks on a new video game contract have reached a stalemate, and that they would hold a strike authorization vote to gain leverage in their fight or wage increases and in guarantees concerning artificial intelligence technology. I don't think they have a leg to stand on here, Mike.
No.
I honestly think that this strike is in vain. I don't think the industry is going to budge. I think the writers and the actors ought to take what they can get and be glad that they're even in this conversation.
Well, I look at it two ways, okay? Adapt or die. Or fade into oblivion. Those are the two options, right? So you're going to have the studios with all the big money that comes from wherever that money comes from, and we can all know kind of where some of that money comes from nefarious sources.
You mean draining children's blood and drinking them for all these rich folks on some weird island out there that we can't seem to get a list of the clientele from? You mean?
I think you overshot just a bit.
Okay, sorry.
You overshot just a smidge. I was thinking more somewhere in the the East Asian Sea somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Sea. You know where I see the sea?
I see.
And in the sea, there's the P?
I see.
There's the CCP.
I don't think they have a leg to stand on, Mike, because the industry is looking at a real opportunity to seize an exorbitant amount of money that they can earn.
Of course.
Because as you pointed out earlier, we talked about this before coming on taping the show, that actors are their biggest expense.
They really are. I mean, you're going to have... Yeah, the talent is going to be one of your biggest expenses. And then, of course, the shooting. The filming, the location, the securing, the security, the travel to get all the equipment out to, like, New Zealand to film a movie. Right,
the rings of power.
Right, if they can consolidate that all into AI.
I mean, at this point, Mike, I think the actor should be paying the studio for that trash. The wheels of power, or the rings of power.
Well,
the wheels of time.
Yeah,
power.
but here's the thing: you have those same actors doing the Disney movies.
I know,
and they're awful.
Disney's dying. I think they should.
They're on their last rights.
They should have named that Indiana Jones the dial of doom or something.
I have refused to watch anything with the mouse on it.
Yeah,
going back 10, 12 years.
Yeah. No, it's been a while. It's been a while. Now that the Snow White thing coming up, it's.
Although last I heard, I could be wrong, but last I heard, I think they put that project on pause because what's her name?
We should do a separate episode talking about that.
Right. We'll cover that later.
We'll cover that in another segment. Let's move on. Down here it says at the bottom. Well, as we scroll down, it says many rank and file Hollywood actors make. What's a rank and file actor?
The rank and file, if I remember correctly, that's just that's like not your henchmen, but like your everyday soldiers.
You mean the guys that work like Law and Order, or
the main
the actors that show up like you see them like on all these TV shows.
Okay,
those guys.
Think of it this way: you have the FBI leadership, and then you have the FBI like the officers, right? Those are the rank and file.
Okay, so you're not talking about your stars.
Well, no. But in this context, they're referring to the body of the Actors Guild.
Right. They're not referring to the Tom Cruise, or they are.
No, because Tom Cruise is going to be like your A+, mega lister, however you want to call it. Again, I'm not hip to the lingo, dude. But Tom Cruise is one of the biggest names out there. You're going to have, Johnny Depp. He's a big name.
You're only naming men, Mike. This is a bad thing. You got to name a woman. You got to make it DEI. It's got to be diversity, inclusion, and whatsoever. Look, let's continue down here. It says in a statement. Oh, let me finish this. I'm sorry. So
Katherine Heigl. Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. So many rank-and-file Hollywood actors make lucrative pay performing voice work or motion capture performances for video game companies, but AI is threatening their gravy train and AI applications already in use in some popular games. In a statement, SAG-AFTRA President Fran Drescher,
Hey, listen, I like Fran Drescher, okay? Fran Drescher, she's a very cool actress. I've always liked her. Her accent's cute. I think she's a very attractive woman.
Okay, so she was Squidward before Squidward was Squidward. Okay,
Fair
called
point.
out video game companies for their greed and disrespect. Well, aren't they all just a cesspool pointing? It's like that. It's like that Spider-Man meme when one's pointing at one Spider-Man, the other one's pointing at the other Spider-Man. It's like because they're all greedy.
Well, of course they are.
They're all greedy.
But the thing is, there's enough
and they're
population.
all disrespectful.
Well, of course, but there's enough population for everyone. They just have to make stuff that people want to consume. And the reason why Disney and a lot of these studios are floundering is because they're making content at the behest of who's giving them the most money.
Yeah, it's all about money. But they have the audacity, they have the hubris to be like, oh, these people are greedy and disrespectful.
Well, but they have to shame the people that aren't tying down their narrative. They're not towing the line, if you will.
Yeah, it seems like Hollywood lost its luster many generations ago.
Well, okay, think about this for a minute though. Let's go back 100 years. Okay, the 1920s, like kind of the golden
Roaring 20s,
the golden era of motion pictures.
You're talking about the Great Gatsby type.
Yeah, 1920s. Okay, when you look at the advent of this form of media, okay, and you look at it, where did Hollywood, when Hollywood was birthed, okay. Where were they in the history of global global events? What happened just 3 years earlier?
I think they had just finished World War I.
That too.
Okay.
But more importantly, they had the Bolshevik Revolution, 1917. Okay. So from 1917 all the way through through the mid-20s, as the USSR was being established, okay, they sent out seeds all over the world. Vietnam, China, the U.S., before people really knew what communism was. Because people in the roaring 20s in the U.S. were like, hey, we're too busy living it up, right?
Yeah.
And so they went and started putting their little seeds in. Now, coincidentally, this also went into the universities and the colleges, to start off really, really small. Because if you understand the context of communist history, the ultimate goal of communism is communization of the world.
Right.
Okay. So Hollywood started getting its earliest seed investors from foreign influence. But when it took about 100 years for it to really take strong root, because when the USSR fell, it fell, but then that responsibility kind of transferred over to China.
So what we're essentially talking about is we have full-grown trees now.
Yes.
And they have created a forest.
Pretty much.
And that's what's deafening everything, all the reasonable voices.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're a conservative leaning person, a moderate, and you're in Hollywood, the odds of you getting work are really, really, really slim.
Yeah. So on that note, we're going to close this out. Mike, what are your predictions with the writers, actors strike, and now apparently the video gamers strike?
Well, my thinking is this: if they're going to, like I said, adapt or die, those are your options, right?
Adapt or die.
Right. So,
isn't that what they ask us to do?
Well, of course.
I predict that the indie film industry is going to blossom. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are not dealing with AI or Hollywood at all. Right.
Well, the other option too is for them to go independent and just make their own content.
That's my prediction. My prediction is you'll see a lot more of a resurgence with that because there's a lot of people with money who can get into this game.
Right.
And without AI.
Right. But even now, because AI is still relatively new, right? And they've made some pretty remarkable. I think the music is amazing.
I agree. Gosh. Hollywood is playing the long game here, and I think they have the advantage. So that's what I'll leave. Mike, if you don't mind holding up that book right there on your right here. Look. There's that
yes.
You hold that up to the microphone. So everybody, if you get a chance to sign up for our Patreon for $3, like a lot of people are doing, they're going to get this book autographed by me. And Mike, I hope you enjoy this book.
I will definitely enjoy this book.
I hope that you blog about it.
Bro, this isn't even autographed. What the hell?
I'm gonna get there. It's gonna get there. I'm not leaving yet. Anyway, everyone, thanks for hanging out with us. Stick with us. We'll be doing some more episodes too. Until next time, God bless.
New Kingdom Radio Theater.